Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from GuitaristLessons365.com. Have one that I thought I had already done before. I had done the opening riff to it when I used to do those just riff videos, which I don't do anymore. And I, for some reason, thought, as years gone by, that I had done it all, but I had not. And you guys are bringing it to my attention. I've been cranking out a bunch of Motley Crue lately, and I haven't even finished their biggest hit ever. So I'm going to complete the lesson now today. I'm just going to teach the whole thing again. I'm going to even that opening riff, even though I've already done it. You might have come from that video or whatever, but I'm going to do the whole thing as if you haven't seen that video. All right, so we are in Motley Crue tuning, D standard. So that means every string is down a whole step. So that's the low E string goes down to a D, the A string goes down to a G, the D string goes down to a C, G string down to an F, B string down to an A, and the high E also down to a D. All right, now before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and ring that notification bell so you'll know when I release a new video. Please check out my Guitar Academy. It's at GuitaristLessons365.com. Link is in the description. Contains all my guitar courses covering everything from complete beginner course to advanced technique courses, courses on ear training and theory, guitar tone, improvisation, a bunch of different styles. So just go over there and swing by and check it out for me, will you? All right, so now I'm probably completely out of tune here because of those opening dive bombs or whatever. Let me just show you what he's doing with this dive bomb before I retune. So we're gonna just, you're in this D tuning, and he goes, depress the bar and pick the D string. I'm gonna call it the D string, by the way. We know it's a C string here, but my head would explode if I had to call the strings by their proper names in this tuning. But so I'm gonna act like it's standard. So D string, depress the bar, pick it. The same thing on the A. And then the low E. Let that come back, and then we get the main riff. All right, so that part there is just a power chord off the 3rd fret of the low E string. It's a three string power chord. So 3 on the low E, 5 on the A and the D. Then move it up 4, 5. And then when you get there, so it's kind of accented strings and then muted hits on the low E. So we have this beat. And then a quick transition to the main part of the riff, which is also the chorus riff. It goes 3, 4 real quick, and then we get to this. All right, so that starts with that A power chord. And then you'll pull off from the 3 to the 3rd fret on the A string to the open A string a couple times. Then pick that open A again. And then it goes to a G, kind of a G power chord, open position power chord. So that's the 3rd fret on the low E string. You're gonna mute the A string, the bottom of your middle finger there. Then the open D, open G, 3rd fret on the B and the high E. So from there we have this. You're gonna pull off, you can do this like that if you want, but it's gonna pull off 2 to 0 on the A, and then 3 to 0. And then play 4, don't pull off though, just jump up to the D major chord, period. at the 5th fret there on the A string, 7th critical, the D, G, and B. So it's so when he's up here on this D chord, it's making it a sus4 chord, which is going to be adding this 8th fret there on the B string, and then go back to the D majors. And we still have that in the chorus and start going on that A string there, sort of this. And then we're going to go with the open E string, slight bend on the 3rd fret of the low E, and kind of start the riff over. Now here you don't go twice, so the second time around you just go. So we had this cool little line there. Cool lick. So we had this open E, then 2, 3, 4 on the low E string, then 0, 3 on the A. Back to the A power chord. And then it kind of does riff again the same way. Except when you get to that D, you just kind of hold it there. So all together for that main riff, which is also the chorus. All right, so now after that intro, we have the chords for the actual verse song. So it sounds like this. All right, so then it gets to the pre-chorus here. So it's just kind of like we did at the beginning. It just goes 3, 4, 5. But it just keeps kind of a steady 8th note rhythm there on it after that. And then we once again have this 3, so we do that twice. And there's a quick little 3, 4 power chord over to the C power chord off the 3rd fret of the A string. Then over to the G power chord off the 3rd fret of the low E. And then back to that D major chord. That same figure we did earlier. And then it starts over with that 3, 4, 5 again. All right, and then we get to the pre-chorus, which looks like this. So that sounds like it's kind of just an overdub of that going on. So you can do it with the chord like I was just doing and just make it a minor 7 chord. So it looks like we had that 3, 4, 5 power chord, but from there you're gonna pick up your pinky and then grab the 8th fret there on the B string, and then you're also going to make sure you hit the 5th fret there on the G. So it sounds good to do that over the power chord. Or just do the whole chord. And then we get to it's just a really cool build. I mean, this song is so well done. It's just unbelievable. So it's just... Then we're to the chorus riff. Just really fun to play. Anyway, so the chorus riff is the same that we did in the intro until the very end. So at the end, instead of doing this like we did in the beginning, the intro, we go this. Take it to an F power chord there at the first fret. And then we have that cool lick again, which takes us back around to the verse. So that's still that same 2, 0, 2, 3, 4 on low E. Then 0, 3 on the A. And then we kind of start doing, it's almost like the verse riff again. We had to first do it at the A power chord because we just got it. We had to come out of lick. And then we just do it like that. After that. 3, 4, 5. Let's continue that with the verse. All right, now everything's the same pretty much in the verse, but there is a little fill section here by Mick Mars. Looks like this. All right, so that's going to start with some double stops here at the 17th fret across the G and the B. It goes a few times. Like 4 times, then over to the 19th fret on the D. And then we have this. So that's slide into the 17th fret on the on the B string. Then over to 17 on the high E, then back to that 17 on the B, then 19 on the high E, back to the 17 on the B, to the 20 on the high E, back to that 17. So. And then back to the 17 on the high E and the 17 on the B. So into a bend there, the 20th fret on the B string. There's a little pause, and then we have this. So that's just a half step bend at the 19th fret on the high E string. And then play it without the bend. 19, 17, 15, then over to 17 on the B. And a little bit of whammy bar action there too. All right, and then we get to that same, that takes us to the same pre-chorus. So I wanted to play through that next little solo there, chorus, chorus for you, because it just ends different instead of with that, like the first chorus, it just, after we're doing that F, then just take it down to an E power chord for the bridge section. Now the bridge is on a clean setting, so we change over here. And so you can do this, however you want to pick it or whatever. It's basically going to be this. have this. And then all right, so go back to that clean section there. I'm just kind of holding my pick with my ring finger here, and then I'm just kind of doing fingerstyle. So we have the A chord. So we just basically are playing the bar across the second fret of the D, G, and B. You're not really hitting the open A string there. And then he goes to this G chord, and he just plays basically a power chord version of it. So it's just the 5th fret there on the D string and 3rd fret of the B. So this. And then for the first time of playing this chord up here, we have this open A string with the 7th fret on the D, 7th fret on the G. So he doesn't play it like the regular chord here. You hear the open A string in there, so with this. And then we're back to the same chorus. Except when we get up here, what you're gonna do is just basically play once again just the D, G, and the B strings, and you're gonna do that little sus chord there, and pull off to this. So pull off 8 to 7 on the D. So we just have this. Now the second time through these, we do the same thing, except that chord, we now have the D in the bass instead of the open A string. So you're still picking the same 3 strings, the A string, D, and the G, because you want that note to be the melody note. And then that same little sus thing. So all together. All right, now from there we go back to the A power chord, G power chord, to D. Just do that a few times, a couple times. And then it's the same thing, but we just hold it. Let them ring. Now that goes into the same chorus riff, and that's when the solo starts over this. Now this solo's got a talk box on it. I don't have a talk box. Never have owned it. Actually, I did own a talk box. I owned a talk box for a day, and I never used it. I returned it, so not my thing. But seems unsanitary, you know? I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to just kind of play it with a wah. And this is one of those things that's kind of hard to get kind of note for note. So I'm just kind of approximating what he's doing and kind of from watching him do live work, what he's doing there. So anyway, this is kind of an approximation, which he does live anyway, kind of an approximation of what he does on recording. All right, so it's kind of hard to completely recreate those talk box type stuff. So we have this where this. All right, so kind of dig it in here. It's kind of hard to get this note for note. This solo is underneath the chorus, and so the vocals of the chorus, and underneath the talk box. So it's going to be hard to get it exactly right, but this is kind of an approximation of what he's doing there. So you can just kind of watch it live and see he's kind of doing this. So I'm just starting here with just these, rocking the wah pedal here. We have the, just a wah just to make up for the talk box, which you don't have. So we have here this fifth fret on the G and the B. And then 757 on the D. So you can kind of do something off of those. Do it a couple times, then we're to the double stops. We go from the double stops to the 5 to the 7. And back with us. And then again. Start kind of doing it the same, but now do this. I kind of do that figure. It happens a couple times. And you can just go to the 5 on the G string, 7 on the D, and 7 on the A. And then we have this. So this is kind of it's a lick, but it's also kind of random. So he's going up this melody, going 5, 7, 8, 7, and then 8, 10, 8, 7. But as he's doing that, he's kind of tremolo picking it, and then he's adding open high E strings in there. And then we finally get back to something that we can latch onto. So it's just kind of just find the melody that you can mess around with on the high E string and just add some open E strings in there. And then we're back to the double stops at the 5th fret there on the G and the B, then 7, and then back. So kind of rotate between those. And then we have this, that kind of figure again that we did earlier, that 5 on the G, 7 on the D, 7 on the A. And then we have this. So that's just that bend here at the 8th fret on the B, then 10, then a half step bend at the 12th. And then he goes through those again, 8 to 10, but instead of going to 12, he goes back and messes with those double stops. Again, and then he goes back to that same melody. And this time, he does it a full 2 times there. All right, and lets that last one just kind of hang out there. And then we get to the end of the track, which we go back to. All right, so that's just kind of just that 3-4-5 riff, and then it's just 3-4-5, 3-4-5, 3-4-5, 3-4-5. All right, and then we get to this, the very end of the song where we're kind of tremolo picking major chords. That A major, and then the B major, so same bar chord. 2nd fret there on the A, 4th fret across the D, G, and the B. Then up to C. And then up to 3rd fret, and then up to 5th fret to D. if you want to kind of mimic that, ooh, let's put the wah pedal on that. I just found this while we're doing this end of it. So at the end of all right, he doesn't do that. Well, maybe he does, but and then end it with the A chord. All right, so hey, look, we found it right. I just decided to cover that right at the very end. I didn't even know that until then. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now we've done a complete breakdown on the track. One of the funner songs you could ever play on the guitar. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.